Hey guys, it is around 20 something degrees outside, and it's around, I don't know if you guys can tell, it's around a little under 60 degrees down here in my unheated basement. So that's not much better than outdoors, but at least the plants are okay. Right now I have plans to start a select varieties of snapdragons. We do have some asters as well, like the Tower Silver, the Soph Light Pink aster as well. We've got the Chantilly Bronze snapdragons, and Tower Yellow and Tower Chamois asters. So we're gonna get planting here so that these guys are ready. It's recommended that you start asters 8 to 6 weeks before your last frost. And when it comes to snapdragons, it's recommended to plant these guys or start these guys indoors 8 to 10 weeks before your last frost. So right now we're at the 8-week range, and it's the perfect time to get started. Whenever planting or starting seeds, I always like to pre-moisten the soil just slightly. We're not going to get it sopping wet. We're just going to get it lightly moist. Mixing it really well. So the goal is that when you squeeze it, not much water comes out, but at least you can, I don't know if you can see the drips. It's just a little bit of drips of water coming out. And that's good enough. And it actually holds together too when you squeeze it, so it clumps, but it's not sopping wet and it breaks apart easily. By the way, I believe it's fair to mention that I am not an expert. I'm just a guy who does like to garden, and I do this as a hobby. But I have gained a bit of experience throughout the growing seasons, so that I will share with you guys. So the first thing I did was I put in my label, which the first plants we're doing are the Tower Chamois, which do come with around 50 seeds, and I'll be putting 2 seeds in each cell. Ah, they're so tiny. They want to be buried around 1/8 deep, which that's 1/8 an inch deep. And I suppose I decided to not really put too much soil inside each cell. This way I can just cover them. But let me get planting and I will talk to you guys after it's done. So now that I did that, I'm gonna cover these seeds just enough to where they're not too deep. We'll pack them down real nicely. When it comes to the asters, I don't really have that much expectations for them. I've grown these guys in the past, and there's not really much good germination with them, but we still get plenty. I heard a bit of knocking, and lo and behold, my package had arrived. So I'm gonna open this up before we continue talking about the seeds. Okay, I was a little bit worried due to like the weather, but these guys are pretty hardy. You can see what's inside. I already see one cyclamen. So let's show some of these things out here. So it came packed pretty neatly. I did have to take this tab out so I can easily remove the cyclamen here. I don't see the name tag to it. Oh, it's actually inside. I see it. We'll talk about it in a second. I see something cool down here. This looks like it's a heat pack. It says to discard. So this is what was keeping the temperature regulated within the box. And now, looks like we have a ton more at the base. If it wasn't obvious before, these plants here come from Plant Delight's Nursery Inc. at the Juniper Levels Botanic Garden. As you can see, look at the leaf textures or shapes, and then the colors. May as well add this one up there too, so you can see them all. I can't wait to get these in ground. Now that they're out the box, let's look at the varieties. So we have one called Little Silva. It's a heterofolium type, which, if you've been watching my videos, you'll probably know that the heterofolium, they do flower in the fall, which the flowers come up first, then the foliage second. I believe I only purchased heterofolium. This is the Silverado. If we look at the leaves here, it's got kind of a lot bigger leaves, at least than the other one we just shown. So here's the Little Silva compared to the, what is that called? Silverado. Similar names. This one's got kind of curly or crunkly leaves. The next one we have here, where's the name? Here it is. Silver Tongued. You can tell I like the silver varieties. Now, I believe I got this one because it has kind of like this straight and narrow type leaf, so it's really skinny variety here, not so round, just like that. And the color, these are all going to go in different areas, and I'll make sure to name them so you can find them easily. Let's see this last one. They wrote this one down. It says Stein. I'm not sure what that means. Hey, haha, Stein. I thought I was being clever for a second there, but then I realized it was a secondary tag and they were just referring to me. This one is the SSP crassifolium. And if you look at the leaves are a lot greener than all the others. So, if you compare them here, more silver versus darker green. Actually, they're kind of hard to tell that it's different. And this one's got kind of a Christmas-like tree shape, like at the middle of the leaf. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's that lighter blotching in the middle. Looks like a Christmas tree. Well, anyhow, now that little distraction's over, I did come back down and I put in seed trays, the actual snapdragons. I should have recorded it, at least for you guys, but I did do a short on it, so if you're interested, go ahead and watch that short. All you're simply going to do is place the soil into the trays, just like earlier. You're going to place the seed over top of the soil, except for this time, you're not actually going to cover it with more soil. You're only going to cover it with the vermiculite, and that's about it. Or you could just leave it without vermiculite over top. By the way, guys, I did find the other snapdragon seeds. I forgot I had more. So we put in these seed trays. This is the Avignon apricot, I believe. Then in the back, there's some Madam Butterfly bronze. So half of this tray is the apricot, Avignon. And then the back half is the Madam Butterfly snapdragons. Or Madam Butterfly bronze snapdragons, in fact. As for the last tray, I believe they're all the Chantilly bronze, I believe. Chantilly bronze snapdragons. This full tray is actually all one snapdragon. Cover that back up. By the way, this is overheat mat, so we're gonna try and get some quicker germination. Probably maybe 3 to 4 days, I think, possibly. Alright guys, 5 days later, and let's take a look at the asters, because I know there's something down here. Whoop. Look at that, there's greenery. Honestly, looks like we have success in pretty much every cell. which means it's time to remove the dome and get these off of the heat mat. Now that I removed the domes from over top of the asters, we can really get a better look. Definitely, I want to say everything looks cool. And by the way, I did move them to this section here, which does have grow lights. It's just in a different area without a heat mat, because usually once you get a majority of your seeds up, you want to take them off the heat mat. This is also a stronger light sitting area, so they got a little bit better lighting, I guess you could say, rather than the seed starting lights. The other side, it's also still doing pretty nice. And as you can see on this side here, these are some finished, at least germinating starts that we have as well. They're not over top of heat mats. In fact, they're in trays within a tray, just to keep the mess dialed in. Then you have the seeds that are not quite germinated just yet, or they're barely germinated, you know what I mean? As for the snapdragons, I have not seen anything come up, unfortunately. So probably another 3 to 4 days, because snapdragons usually take 7 to 13 days just to germinate. And after they've germinated, they're pretty gosh darn small, so don't expect too much. Alright guys, here we are again a few days later, and it's time to check in on the snapdragons, which, as you can see, they're all up. So I'm gonna remove the dome on each and every snapdragon tray. Alright, and they look good. Now, there's a couple trays where you can barely see anything because those seeds are just coming up. But if you can tell, usually you get at least maybe nearly 90% germination, if not, because mind you, I did put 2 seeds in each cell, but some cells have 2, some cells have 1, so maybe it's 50% or a little over 50% germination here that's going on. Could be 70 or 80. I'm gonna check the one down here too. Remove the actual dome just to see what's going on. And it looks like we have great germination here as well. Again, some seeds are just coming up. Others have been up for quite some time, it looks like. I don't think it took too long to get these to where they're at. It's been, I'm gonna say 10 days now, if not 12. I'm gonna have to look back. I'll put it up on the screen. As for the asters, these guys have been doing well. They've grown quite some amounts, and just like the last time, we did remove the domes and remove them from over the heat mats. I think that's why they're doing so well. But alright guys, I will see you guys next time, and we probably will do a seedling update maybe in another 3 weeks to 2 weeks, just to show you guys where things are at. And I don't know why these look a bit sparse, but these are the cone flowers. They're not really sparse, there's actually growth, just some of them are taking forever to get their true leaves. Alright guys, catch you around, see you in the next video.